Thank you very much, President Sandu, Prime Minister Rechan, distinguished ministers, dear colleagues, excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, and especially people of Moldova. Let me start by saying just one word: incredible. What you have achieved over the past 2.5 years has simply been that: incredible. When I first came to Moldova in March 2022, 2 weeks after Russia's invasion of Ukraine, I remember the volunteers directly at the border who were handing out food and tea to many Ukrainians arriving there. And I asked one of them, "So where are you working normally, in social affairs?" And he said, "No, in the Ministry of Interior, because your whole government was there." Moldova is a small country with a big heart, hosted more than 1.5 million Ukrainian refugees directly after the invasion started. You, President Sandu, dear Maya, the people of Moldova opened your homes, your schools, and especially your hearts to your Ukrainian neighbors. And when we offered our help to let these Ukrainians reach other destinations in Europe or even over the Atlantic, you made clear that if these people, your neighbors, your friends, wanted to stay here, they would be able to stay. You set a blueprint for whole Europe. To stay close to their homes, their language, their culture. To this day, more than 150,000 Ukrainians remain here in the country. That's 5% of Moldova's population. We bigger European countries should always remember that. When Putin launched his invasion in 2022, his aggression did not only target Ukraine, it targeted Moldova as well. It targeted us Europeans. Moldova, which at that time received 100% of its gas imports from Russia, and which faced inflation rates of almost 30% because of Putin's war. I remember when we met, I think it was in your president's office actually, that only half of the lights were on, because you said, when all of my people have to suffer and sacrifice, obviously the government does as well. You, dear Madam President, once described this as a, I quote, make or break moment. But Moldova didn't break because of your leadership, because of the people of Moldova who stood together. Throughout these past months, your spirit has been driven by one principle: not to complain, but to act. This has deeply impressed me, and I guess many others who are again here today. You have showed us what we can do if we stand together. That together we can achieve incredible things, even in the hardest times of crisis. From day one, Russia's aggression, we gathered diplomatic support to prevent Moldova from collapsing. 40 days after Russia's invasion, just weeks after my first visit here, we launched, as has been said, the Moldova Support Platform in Berlin, together with our dear friends from France and Romania. And I would like to thank Minister Sejonia Di Stefan and Minister Odobescu Di Luminita for our strong cooperation and friendship. Because we all knew Moldova is one of the front lines in the defense of our own freedom, of our own European democracy. And today, inflation rates have dropped from once 30% to 5%. Still heavy, but they have dropped tremendously. Moldova no longer receives a single cubic meter of gas from Russia. The government is implementing much-needed reforms, modernizing its judicial system and countering corruption. And this is why we have adapted this platform, from crisis reaction from the first months to resilience and now long-term strategic partnership. It's not about supporting, but partnering. Partnering as Europeans. Partnering with the countries whose future lies in the European Union. Since December 14th, 2023, negotiations on Moldova's EU memberships are underway. A historic step, an incredible step, just a few years ago. And the exact opposite of what Putin wanted. Moldova didn't break, Moldova became a European candidate country. You, dear President, dear Maya, the Moldovan people have proved to be one of the strongest countries in this time of crisis. You have proved to be one of the strongest, and I must say, female leaders in seeing and going through this. An incredible leader, because we all know what Russia's hybrid warfare means. And as women, we all know that fake news, lies, have a special female dimension. And you had a special female resistance. We can only applaud to this. This interference in your democracies, these fake news and lies, obviously, were in line with the strong interference in your democracies by dirty money. According to Moldova's Information and Security Service, in 2023 alone, Russia illegally funneled more than $55 million into influencing, if not to say destroying, elections and buying votes here in this country. And this is why we have to keep up our efforts. To me, three aspects are particularly important in this regard. First, we need to further develop this platform into a lasting partnership platform. That's why we reduced the number of working groups of the platform and said, let's focus our effort on areas where they make the biggest difference, like energy security, countering corruption, and economic strength. Second, we continue to support Moldova's reform path toward the European Union. The last years have shown that we cannot afford grey zones in Europe. Therefore, we are training Moldovan civil servants in EU law. We are advising an agriculture sector from Chisinau to Balti and Bender, and how to adapt to new standards also with regard to the climate crisis and the disasters we are seeing, unfortunately, just right now. And we are working with IT experts and officials to make Moldovan IT infrastructure safe from hacking attacks. Together with our partners from France and Poland, we have prioritized support for Moldova in the agenda of the Weimar Triangle for the upcoming new European term. My third point is, we will continue to stand firm against Russian aggression by supporting Ukraine with weapons, humanitarian aid, and through diplomatic efforts. For our Ukrainian friends and their freedom, for Moldova's freedom and our European freedom, which obviously depend on that. You have made that crystal clear. The biggest threat for Moldova and its economy is the Russian war of aggression against Ukraine. Of course, this war will eventually have to end with negotiation. Everything we do is aimed at creating the conditions for Ukraine to live in peace again. But so far, and I would like to say that also very clear, Russia has responded to every new offer for peace steps with more bombs and with more aggression. Ukraine needs peace. It needs a just and lasting peace, not a peace dictated by Russia. Because if such a peace would just be about giving Russia a breather, Putin would use this pause to prepare the next attack. And the next target could be us. It could be you. President Sandu, dear Prime Minister, these are decisive months for your country. This is why we are here today. But just as in 2022, Moldova is not alone. We are united here today, and we are united in the future forever. We stand by your side so that the people of Moldova can decide their own path, their own incredible future. A European future in peace, prosperity, and democracy. Thank you.